We're here at the Rap Video Studio at Tao at Village at the Lift here in Park City. I'm here with the team behind the Midnight in Park City movie, The Guest. With me are, from my left, writer Simon Barrett, director Adam Wingard, and actors Lance Reddick, Dan Stevens, and Micah Monroe. Guys, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So for the folks at home who have not seen the film yet, can you give us a little bit a taste of what it's about?
The Guest is an action thriller about a family whose son passed away, and about a year after that, a stranger comes to their home claiming to be friends with their son, and they invite him to stay, and he starts affecting their lives in increasingly violent ways.
Now, what was the sort of genesis behind the project? How'd you, where'd the idea come from, guys?
Well, initially, after doing Your Next, Simon and I really wanted to try our hand at action, at doing an action film, because, that was kind of where we first bonded, was over John Woo movies, stuff like that, and so we kind of went down the road with this this kind of crazy non-stop action film that we were going to do in South Korea, and the project ended up just not coming together for a lot of reasons, but mainly of which we just, the experiment of, well, every film that we do, we try to have a little bit of an experiment quality to it, where we're like challenging ourselves and we're trying to do something different. And with that film, the experiment was going to be, can we do a film that's a non-stop action chase scene, basically, and figure out a way to develop, the characters as it goes and just make it just full on. But within doing that, we kind of realized that, at least we weren't able to crack the code on that, and it was a really cool script. It's got great set pieces and stuff, but we just never able to really connect with it in the right way. And so we kind of regrouped, and one day I was just like sitting around, and I had a stack of DVDs with me at the office, and I ended up watching a double feature of the original Terminator and Halloween, and there was just something about that, like just like the mishmash of those films that just seemed like it just seemed like a great starting point. So I brought it up with Simon, because initially I wanted to do something also that involved like more like kind of a cyborg kind of Terminator thing. And whenever I first told Simon about it, I told him the experience I had watching those two films back to back, and that kind of spurred a conversation. You want to pick up from there?
Well, yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is I'd already kind of taken a crack at this story several years prior, before I actually even started working with Adam, and I was just kind of writing for an audience of no one. And I started writing it as a drama, as a very serious film that was more about like commenting on like PTSD and our military actions overseas. And I stopped at like page 35 because it was just very depressing, and I felt like it was a film that no one would ever want to see. And I abandoned it, but there were things I loved about it, like the relationship between the characters. And when Adam came to me with this, I was kind of like, actually I have an idea that might kind of organically fuse with this, and we could do something kind of original that still has these kind of throwback elements. And I mean, it was funny to come back to that script and realize that what had been missing was that sense of fun and humor and action and stuff. And from that point, from that point on, we were pretty much straight ahead to making the movie.
Now, I want to talk about casting for a little bit, because it's so vital to a movie like this. I feel like the actors really helped you guys achieve the tone that you're going for. And your lead needs to be able to shift between light and dark. Now, I've never seen Downton Abbey. Dan is obviously famous across the world, but this is my first introduction to your work, and you blew me away. So I don't know, can you guys sort of talk about casting Dan, and then Dan, why did you decide to sort of make this your first big feature, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, well, like in going into this, I knew that the character that Simon had written was just a really fun character, and it was one of those things where it treaded the line where if it wasn't done correctly, if it wasn't done by somebody who had like kind of a very just natural charisma and a kind of cool, calm, kind of thing that he could do, that it would just completely fall apart, and so Dan was actually one of the first people that I met with when I was doing my kind of rounds, meeting with different actors, and just immediately he just had that quality naturally. And I feel like whenever you're casting, you want to find somebody who, not just that you can imagine in the role, but they kind of already embody, a good portion of what you're looking for, just in their natural personality. And it goes the same for the whole cast, like Lance and everybody else. And so yeah, it was just one of those things where as soon as I talked with Dan, we had a little Skype conversation, and then later on we had a little dinner, but it was just immediate.